You're watching the Penny Hardaway Show, presented by Cook's Pest Control.
A successful road swing through the Big Easy in H-Town as the Tigers knock off Tulane and Rice. We'll take a look back at those games, sit down with the vet on this coaching staff, Mike Davis, and it's a week at home ahead. We'll preview games against Tulsa and Temple. It's the Penny Hardaway Show. Let's go.
The Penny Hardaway Show is presented by Cook's Pest Control. You don't have to live with pests. Call Cook's Pest Control and get a free quote today. Conway Services, the official HVAC partner of Tiger Athletics. Tennessee Lottery, turning dollars into dreams. Tiger Bookstore, the official merchandiser of Tiger Athletics. AutoZone. When you've got battery trouble, head to AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone. And supported by your Memphis area Toyota dealers.
What a road trip. The Tigers take 2 more. The roll continues. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Woloshin.
And I'm Matt Field. Let's check out the highlights from wins over Tulane and Rice.
Tigers had 2 games on the road this week. The first one, a place they haven't won since 2020, Tulane. Let's jump to right before half. Tigers down 1 and Dane Danger goes to work. The blow-by and the lay-in puts the Tigers up. They would push that lead to 3 headed into the locker room. Second half, Tigers down 1 with 10 to go. Ball gets swung around the horn to Colby Rogers, who says, "I'll take that." The contested 3 gives the Tigers the lead. They would flex that lead to 7, and with 2 minutes to play, guess who? Rogers again. This time the step back 3 is a dagger. The Tigers get their first win at Tulane in 5 years, 68-56. And on Sunday, the Tigers were looking to make it 5 in a row, doing the Texas 2-step down in Houston, taking on Rice. Right before half, Rogers with the great find to a cutting Nicholas Jourdain, who rocks the rim. Memphis would go into the locker room up 5. Second half, Tigers up 9, trying to put this one away. Haggerty, the hometown kid and our outstanding performer, showing off with the crazy and 1 finish. He had 26 in the game. Tigers would go up 11. But this one got crazy. Rice only down 3, 4 seconds to go, but they can't get the ball in bounds, and it looks like the Tigers are going to hold on. But the Owls steal the inbounds pass, try to throw up a prayer, but our defensive performer P.J. Carter makes the game-saving steal to ensure a victory. He added 19 off the bench as Memphis makes it 5 straight with the 86-83 win over Rice.
Coach, let's talk a little offense and your philosophy today. And let's start with your early influences. I remember Larry Finch's UCLA offense, a lot of motion. Talk about that. And was that the real beginning of where you started to really think about O?
Well, it actually started in high school with Coach Garmer Curry. Rest in peace to Coach Curry. He had a motion offense as well. But when I got to college, the UCLA offense really helped me a lot because, it was successful. Coach Finch learned that from Coach Bartow.
When you got to the NBA, obviously you played under a bunch of different coaches. Who were some influences there? I want to ask specifically about you guys play with a ton of pace. I know that's something you want. You were on that original 7 seconds or less Phoenix Suns team under Mike D'Antoni.
Yep.
How much did that influence you?
That influenced me a lot because it was very hard to guard that, because you didn't know where it was coming from, and it was quick offense, and it was basically unheard of in the league. Everybody was trying to bring it down, get a ball screen. We were moving it from side to side and getting the first 3 available, and that was a high percentage shot to us. So I want to get to that level with Memphis. Haven't gotten to that level yet, but that was definitely a quick offense for sure.
Is that attainable in college, you think?
It is attainable because of how things are now with all the threes and the analytics that are going into college basketball. So yeah, I can say it's attainable for sure.
Let's fast forward to 7 years ago when you began your first tenure as the head coach here. Was the offense you're running now the offense you ran then, or how have you morphed into what you do?
Yeah, no, when I first came, it was an old NBA offense, like a ball screen with a roll and replace big, more high-low, a lot of ball screens. Now it's more out of concepts. I'm playing out of concepts, so it's really hard to gauge what we're going to do and scout us because it's just random every game. We really do kind of what the Grizzlies do. We let you make the mistake, and then we try to take advantage of it.
Now, I know a couple weeks ago you said that the first thing you do when you get these guys here in the summer is install defense, which is a little bit maybe out of the ordinary for most coaches. When does that offensive install begin then?
We'll do, say during the week, we'll do 90% defense and 10% offense, but the offense is 3-on-3. That's how I really feel like you learn how to play 3-on-3 offense, where you move without it, pass and cut, you set a ball screen and give it to the big, and then he makes the next play. So you get so much out of 3-on-3.
When you talk about just the randomness of what you see and you pick on that, sort of explain to us how that would work. I'm the guard, I'm bringing the ball down, what am I looking for?
Yeah, well, first of all, we're looking for triggers where we can just get 2 people to guard 1 guy. Then that means that we have a 4-on-3 advantage. So that's what we look for first. And once we get the 4-on-3 advantage, we need to get rid of the ball and then 1 more pass. So the 1 pass is gonna get a rotation, the next pass has no rotation. So when you get your team to buy into, I draw 2 guys on me, I get rid of the ball, and then 1 more pass after that from good to great makes us have a great opportunity to get a good basket.
You said when you first got here, it was an old school NBA offense, a lot of high-low pick and roll, stuff like that, trying to get a switch. Now you've gone away from that. What prompted that? Because I see a lot of NBA teams still run a lot of high pick and rolls, trying to get switches and mismatches that way.
Well, pick and rolls will never leave the game because it's how you create a trigger. That's what we're talking about, creating triggers. But how we create the triggers is ball movement, kind of. You know, we do split screens and not ball screens. And that just changed the whole dynamics of the game. And my mindset changed a couple years ago. I think Cody Topper was the first one that started to bring that from the G League and the NBA to our team. And I kind of, I love what was going on with that and keep trying to evolve every year.
So now you've got sort of the philosophy you want. Do you recruit to that? Like, was PJ Haggerty the perfect guy for this? Did you change for them, or do you try to mold them to you?
No, I mold them to me, you know, because I know what's best for them as well, because I know where they're trying to go. And this offense is pretty much the new NBA, and that's where they really want to go, from terminology to concepts to what we do on the fast break, how we see things and how we view things, to our spacing on the floor. Our practice court is taped with the proper spacing, just like the NBA. So all these young men that are coming are going to get that NBA experience all the way around.
I think as a former point guard, I know one answer to this right off the bat, but when you're going in the portal, when you're building your roster year in and year out, what are the necessities to run this offense at a high level for you?
Yeah, great point guard first. That's first and foremost, because you have to have a leader that understands how to get people involved. And then it's pretty tough on getting to the basket and scoring, and PJ Haggerty gave us that.
When you look at guys, now you're talking about the first thing you have to have is that point guard. And you look at high schools, you look at AAU and the competitive travel programs, are they teaching ball that same way that makes a great point guard for your system in college?
Unfortunately, no. Just watching and going around to the games, and I'm not knocking any high school coach because they have their own systems, but it's very few, like maybe 2% of the coaches around the country that are really preparing these young men to be point guards on this level. They're really just trying to win the game, or they're letting the guys' God-given ability just take over the game. And if you don't already have it, then you start learning it on this level, and it's almost too late.
Things kind of swing. It feels like this is all cyclical. Right now, we're in this era where it's a lot of small ball and spread the floor and whatnot. But we know pendulum usually swings back. Do you think we're that far away from maybe a big guy re-revolution where they can start taking over this game again?
I don't think it's out of the question, because like you said, the pendulum will swing again. I don't know if it'll go back to just dominating the big inside because they love spacing, but they have the bigs in Dallas, and Gafford and the kid from Duke.
Derek Lively.
Derek Lively. Those guys aren't scoring bigs, but they're traditional bigs that screen, roll, post up some, and then catch lobs. So, you know, in the past, that was unheard of. So everybody wanted a 5-man that could shoot, a 4-man that could shoot, but Dallas has the traditional bigs.
Mike Davis's resume speaks for itself. Now he brings a wealth of experience to Memphis. We'll sit down with the assistant coach next.
You're watching the Penny Hardaway Show, presented by Cook's Pest Control.
Welcome back to the Penny Hardaway Show. From learning under Bobby Knight to taking a team to the Final Four himself, Mike Davis has just about seen it all in his college basketball coaching career. Now he's become one of Penny Hardaway's most trusted assistants. Davis's coaching career spans 35 years. The highlight coming in 2002 when he led Indiana to the national championship game. However, this year, for the first time since 2000, Davis is serving as an assistant. What brought you to Memphis here and now?
I have an opportunity to work with Coach. It's an honor for me. Anytime you have one of the greatest players in the history of basketball, you know his mind is equal to his ability as a player. And when I got here, everything I thought was true. You know, coach is really good with the X's and O's and defense and strategies. And so, believe it or not, I've been in this game for a long time, and I'm learning on a daily basis. So I wanted to be in a basketball atmosphere and work for a basketball coach.
Davis may be new to Memphis, but he's plenty familiar with the Tigers from 6 seasons as the head coach at UAB from 2006 to 2012.
And I can remember coming in here, it was sold out every time we came in. And one year we had played the team that played for the national championship. We had them beat in Birmingham, and we came here thinking that we was gonna walk in here and have the same results and maybe win. I think they beat us by 50. It was on senior night, so.
This is 2008?
I'm not sure. It was the year they had Derrick Rose.
Yeah, okay.
And so I get the years kind of confused, but I remember the 50-point loss. I remember that.
Davis's most recent stop was at Detroit Mercy for 6 seasons. It may have been the most meaningful head coaching stint of his career because he had the chance to coach his son, Antoine, who finished his career just 3 points shy of Pistol Pete Maravich for the most by any men's Division I player in history. However, combine that with Mike's 4-year playing career at Alabama, and there is a record in there.
My son and I are the highest scoring coaches and son duo in the history of college basketball.
Nice.
You know, he's the second all-time leading scorer, and I scored 1,200. So if you combine those, there's never been a combination of a son and a coach, point-wise, in the history of college basketball.
After a quarter century as a head coach, one would think it would be hard to take a back seat on the bench. Not for Davis, who insists he's simply here to help and support Penny.
I came to work for him, and I think a lot of assistant coaches don't understand. Sometimes they want to implement their basketball. And I told Coach after being around him for about 3 or 4 days, he don't need any help basketball-wise. He just needs help delivering his message to not just the players, but the other assistant coaches. And so that's my job, and that's my duties, is to make sure I focus on the non-negotiables and the way he wants to coach.
If you can expand, what are exactly your roles on this staff this year?
Well, my role is to make sure that his system, offensively and defensively, his non-negotiables, the thing that he believes that he's not going to negotiate at all, that our players are doing those things on a daily basis. And so I watch film and make sure that they're doing it. They are charted, the percentages in practice, going around telling them to do it, and in the games the same way.
Another big word for Davis and his role this year, accountability.
Definitely for both the coaches and the players, not just for the players. You know, we have to really focus on his non-negotiables and his absolutes, the things that he really had put a lot of time and effort into doing, and that's my job as assistant coach.
Davis's time at UAB also gives him an invaluable lesson to convey to this year's Tigers team, knowing the feeling of going up against Memphis as an underdog.
What our players don't understand sometimes, because I was on the other side, and when you're playing Memphis, you're playing like history. And so you always want to give your best against Memphis. Memphis is like, especially when I was in the Conference USA, we wanted to beat Memphis. That way, if we can beat Memphis, if we can win the conference over Memphis, it was everything. And our players have to understand that. Plus, you have Coach Hardaway, who every time we play a team, they know him. They know his brand, they know his history of. I bought some shoes when my boys were little. So that's the thing that our players have to understand. It's a fight every single night.
Davis, the OG of sorts on this staff, is bullish on what the Tigers can accomplish if they stick to the script.
We could be really good if they follow the non-negotiables, the things that Coach talk about on a daily basis. Sometimes players want to play, and Coach has been around for so long from a basketball standpoint. His understanding of the game is different from most coaches and players. And so if we ever can see the game through his eyes, it can be something special here.
You have had a lot of different lead assistants in your tenure here, but I have not heard you rave about anybody like you do, Mike Davis.
Yeah, Coach Davis is, man, he's a gem because he allows me to be me. And not only that, he gives me a ton of advice, but the best thing he does is just, he learned me, and then he knows exactly what I want, and he allows me to be me. I think working for Coach Coach Knight, helped him understand how to work the right way in his mind. Like back in the day, you had to really do things differently with Coach Knight and the old school coaches. And then when he became a head coach himself, he knew what he wanted out of his assistants. And bringing him in, he's the most humble person that I've ever met with the resume that he has that understands how to get things done.
Now, you gotta be easier to work for than Bobby Knight, please.
I think so.
I know so.
But no, yeah, Coach Knight was tough because he never gave you clues on how to be his assistant. You just had to understand who he was. So if you can learn that, you definitely can learn me. I'm definitely more easygoing.
Not trying to stir the pot with this question, but you've had a number of former head coaches on your staff as assistants before. Do you think that you have the best working relationship with Mike out of all of them?
Yeah, for sure. All were great. They're all definitely great at what they did, or else they wouldn't have been who they were. I think that Coach Davis has definitely been the easiest to work with because of his humility. Not that Coach Stansberry and Coach Brown and Coach Haith and all those guys weren't. It's just he and I connection. We're connected.
What is the best thing he's brought to you so far?
Just a humble spirit. Just a God-fearing man with a humble spirit, man, that just wants everything to mold. He keeps this second floor in this building where all the coaches are together. He's the glue to everything in the building that makes sure that I have what I need at all times.
He talks a lot about conveying the message about non-negotiables and your vision to the team. How valuable has that been?
That's very valuable because that isn't what it's always been in the past. And like I said, I respect everyone, but you have to have everybody rowing the boat in the same direction. And the kids, the players, they can't get a soft landing anywhere or they'll take it. So when you have a unified group with unified vision, and that's what we have right now, then everybody's listening to me in this one voice and everyone else is supporting. It's so important to have that.
Back to the friendly confines of FedEx Forum for 2 games this week. We'll look ahead to Tulsa and Temple next.
You're watching the Penny Hardaway Show, presented by Cook's Pest Control. Let's take a look at the AutoZone road ahead.
Nice to be back home. You got Tulsa first, and then a little revenge with Temple.
Yeah, well, you know, Tulsa is always one of those teams that you can't take lightly because they're capable. You know, they beat Wichita State earlier this year, and you know, you can't take anyone lightly. And then obviously Temple had the game of their lives, meaning like they rebounded the ball really well. They had a great game plan. And they said that they handled our pressure really well. And looking forward to that game.
Biggest learning lessons from that Temple tape? Was it simply crash the glass or more than that?
No, it was simply just boxing out because they had 22 offensive rebounds. We got out rebounded by 24. If they have 10 offensive rebounds, 12, 14 offensive rebounds, then we win the game by 10. So we learned a big lesson in that.
You said after that game that was fixable. And really, you've done a pretty good job with the board since then.
Yeah, that's all on the guys just kind of bringing themselves together and saying, hey, we're going to draw a line in the sand and say we're not going to let anyone do us like that ever again. And that's what they've done. They've answered the bell on box outs, and we just have to continue to do so for the rest of the season.
That was tonight's AutoZone Road Ahead. AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination and official sponsor of Tiger Athletics. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Both these home games will be important, but the Temple rematch will be the most telling test. Back with a wrap in just a minute.
You're watching the Penny Hardaway Show, presented by Cook's Pest Control.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again next Sunday night.
The Penny Hardaway Show is presented by Cook's Pest Control. You don't have to live with pests. Call Cook's Pest Control and get a free quote today. Conway Services, the official HVAC partner of Tiger Athletics. Tennessee Lottery, turning dollars into dreams. Tiger Bookstore, the official merchandiser of Tiger Athletics. AutoZone, got a check engine light? AutoZone will check it for free with the free Fix Finder service. Available at every store. Get in the zone, AutoZone. And supported by your Memphis area Toyota dealers. This copyrighted telecast is an exclusive presentation of Learfield under the broadcasting rights granted by the University of Memphis. Reuse of this presentation is prohibited without the expressed written consent of the University of Memphis and Learfield.